السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي أشدد به أزري وأشركه في أمري كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وارنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وارنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وصل اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين. Inshallah, we will continue to study the story of Sulaiman in the Quran. So we studied up to the point of the verse 44. Up to here, we understood that the Queen of Sheba, her throne was brought to the presence of Solomon by a one who has the knowledge from God. Now, these are very important points. You cannot do anything in this universe as far as the aspect of the universe which looks to God and understand the reality of the universe through the manifestations of the qualities of the creator of the universe in the creation itself, in this world. You cannot really bring the reality to your presence. The reality is that not the matter itself, but what the matter conveys to us. So the matter conveys that I am created, I have been given existence by a one whose qualities are totally manifesting in my existence. You can see it. So what you can do now, you can operate on the matter by taking the aspect of the matter which relates to the absolute creator's qualities. So we understand that the one who brought the throne to the presence of these people there, the counselors of Suleiman and Suleiman himself, he brought it. Miraculously, it was possible that the matter also transferred the material side of the throne. But knowledge from God means the one who sees the reality of this throne, which it reflects in its existence, can only be obtained and we can only access to this reality of the throne only through realizing the aspect of it which reflects the absolute qualities of the creator, so that you can understand what this throne represents for me. So Queen of the Sheba's throne was brought. It means the reality of her throne, her authority, her power was brought before Suleiman. Who is Suleiman? The prophet of God. What does it mean here? The prophet of God who is given the knowledge of God recognizes the reality of his power and acknowledges it, that it has no reality in and of itself, but only God's permission. With God's permission, she is using her authority. That is how we deal with our life here. We can only utilize the matter, the created beings, with the permission of God. Otherwise, we cannot have any authority over the matter itself. With the permission, how are we going to use it? With the permission of God. What does it mean? God will enable me with power, with knowledge, with wisdom, with memory, with experience, all this, or with desire, and also to love it, to want to have it. All these feelings are given to me by my Creator, and my relationship was enabled with the other creatures only with the permission of God. What does it mean? I can interact with this universe, with the matter around me, with anything around me I communicate with, only with the permission of God's will, which is, think about it, the order of the universe. If I follow the order of the universe, I can have communication with them. If I don't, if I am not given the permission, which means if I am not given the power, for example, if a person, God forbid, has been paralyzed, can he obtain any relationship with matter? No. If a person becomes blind, although he wants, this desire is there, can he see? No. And also, if I don't obey the order of the universe, can I communicate with the objects around me? No. Only I can communicate with them when I obey the order of the universe, which is the order of the universe is nothing but the will of God, which is the permission of God. That's why we learn from the Quran that I can benefit from anything in the universe only with the permission of God. This is the translation of the small phrase in Ayatul Kursi, they call it the throne verse in the Quran. من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه. Who can benefit another person, but no one, but only with the exception that God permits. So what happened now? The throne, the reality of the power was brought in front of Suleiman. So the reality of the power, reality of the sovereignty of the Queen of Sheba was brought. So therefore, the Sheba herself also must be brought to the presence of the Prophet Suleiman. It means her reality must face the reality of the Prophet Solomon. So we know there was no reason that the Queen of Sheba should come to Sheba, to the Suleiman. We know there was no war. We know there was no power that this Queen of Sheba must submit herself to the power of Suleiman. But we understand in the word 44 says she was told and entered the palace. What does it mean? She's there. She came. We have to understand this. She came. It is interesting if you really follow it. Enter the palace because she came now. But how did she come? Who brought her? There is no need to do speculations that Solomon's army was so powerful, but there was no war, nothing, and she came. Her throne brought, her power brought, so it brought to the presence of Suleiman, so herself must come as well. How? Because what we are told here, if you take the power of somebody, the material power of somebody, you understand that she is, or anybody is ready to submit to the reality because she has nothing left to trust on her own self. It means she is ready now to receive the message of the Prophet Suleiman. She is ready because she already lost her power. If you remember, when the Hudhud in the language of the Quran, Hupi, came brought the letter of Suleiman to him. These are all symbolic teachings. So dropped Suleiman's letter to him. She said, I have received a noble letter. No, because if you pay attention here, her inner self was pure, but she wasn't exposed to the message of the prophet. When she said it the first time, the Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim was pronounced by Queen of Sheba. It is very interesting as she was reading the letter of Suleiman. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And what did she do? Did she tell anything against this notion of Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate? No, she didn't. She didn't reject. But she appreciated it, a noble letter, which means her unspoiled character, her unspoiled personality acknowledged the truth immediately. We have to be very careful. This is a very important point to me, for me to share with you. Even somebody doesn't believe in God or something, it doesn't mean that her or his character, nature, primordial nature is completely corrupt. No, that is what we have to be careful about. We shouldn't decide straight away that because she doesn't believe. The problem is we have to check whether she has received, she or he, anybody, has received the message and rejected it after receiving the message. But which kind of message? I told him there is one God and he didn't believe. This is not the message. This is just imposition of your own idea or own self, yourself. You have to give rationality, a reasonable explanation, and present the case to this person, to another person, within his or her capacity, so that he will understand. Afterwards, check whether he will reject or confirm it. then you may come a decision that he or she doesn't believe. She doesn't want to submit herself. But when we speak theoretically, those people who reject the truth after being delivered to them and resist against the truth not to be spread, then we can call them, they are the deniers and they are going to be punished by God. They deserve to be punished by God because they deliberately reject the truth. It means give, in the language of the Quran, they give a lie to the truth. If someone doesn't know the truth, can you say that it is really giving a lie against the truth? Doesn't know. So Queen of Sheba's position was excellent to understand. She didn't reject Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. From there, we understand that her character was not that she is going to reject the truth in order to protect her power, authority, sovereignty, or the position of being a queen, ruler of a country. That is essential. She didn't have any prejudice against the truth. So that's why she came now. So the Suleiman said, or with the pure nature of a person, the prophet says, come on, enter the palace. Let's see which kind of palace is it. It's an awesome, admirable building and a huge palace that we are told in the stories of the ancient kings and emperors. Do you see now? But when she saw it, Suleiman's palace, the prophetic palace now, when she saw it, she thought it was fathomless. There is no end in the deep meaning of the message that the prophet Suleiman was presenting to her. That is his palace. Fathomless, expanse of water, and uncovered her legs to wade through. She thought it was a hard thing to go through. But Suleiman said, it means, we call it conversion, but it is not a conversion. She didn't really believe in something against the truth. She didn't know. She was just following her culture. But now she was exposed to the culture, to the prophetic message. Now she said, I can go through it, but is it a really difficult thing to accept this message? And Prophet Sulaiman said, indeed, it is a palace made smooth with glass. Oh, that's amazing. That is incredibly important point. I think we have to go deep into the meaning of this verse today.
Yeah. So the palace is, you're defining it as the message. Is that correct? You're muted.
Yeah, prophetic palace must be prophetic message. Isn't that very clear?
Yep.
Not be the demonstrators of worldly power and imposing himself on people, and therefore really, forcing people, dominating people's material positions, and forcing them to accept the message. What is the point in being a prophet? Yes, continue.
So when she saw it, she thought it was a fathomless expanse of water. So that means she is being exposed to the message, and
it's only
it's unlimited. Yeah, go ahead. It's unlimited. I'm thinking fathomless, expanse, huge. There's like no end to it. Continuous.
Only the meaning of the matter can be expanse, fathomless expanse of water. But people are frightened. Human beings are frightened. If I embrace this religion, it looks like there is no end in its meaning. For example, introduce yourself to God who is the absolute being. How can I comprehend him? How can I communicate with him? It is a hard job, seems to be. Yeah, for example, if it is something manageable within human power, I can handle it. But what I am introduced here through the message of the prophet, it is fathomless expense of something like, I have to swim. Oh, so difficult it seems to be. That is why we think that really God's religion is difficult. Why? These are important subjects, really important subjects, because we reduce religion, first of all, from the very beginning, some actions, do's and don'ts. So he said, what am I going to do? If you embrace Islam, you have to pray 5 times a day. You have to make wudu, whether the weather is hot or warm, very cold or warm. And under any circumstances, you should never miss your prayers. Of course, it is not the message of the Prophet. This is the result of one's understanding that this must be put into practice within my own capacity as much as I can. These are just physical things, but the ideas, the belief system that the Quran presents to us, isn't that fathomless expanse of ocean? For me, yes. I think it is for you too. So first, everybody is frightened. Now I'm going to embrace a new way of life, lots of responsibilities, because it is presented in this way, lots of restrictions. I cannot do this, I cannot do that. And it is a burden, seems to be difficult. But what the Prophet Sulaiman says, before going into this, is your problem somehow answered?
Yes,
Oh.
alhamdulillah.
Okay, thank you. So the Prophet Sulaiman says, indeed, it is a palace made smooth with glass. Yep. I mean, kawarir, I mean, glass in a crystal glass. Crystal glass, kawarir. Or it is translated as glass only. Okay. Why? It is important. This phrase is important. She uncovered her legs. Why? She thought she's going to have a hard time to go through. But Suleiman said, no, take it easy. It is just a smooth glass, crystal glass. So just take it easy. Don't worry about it. Leave these anxieties, worries that you are going to face with difficulties. Even those later on, the Quran presents the prayer, Quran presents the fasting, the lots of restrictions. Don't gamble, don't drink, don't tell a lie, don't believe in fortune telling or this kind of stupid things, stories. And also Be kind to your parents. Be respectful to everyone. Don't harm any creature at all. Lots of restrictions. But when you establish your position within the universe, who I am, and when you understand who the owner of this universe is, who your owner is, you understand that after this realization of your reality, everything becomes as if there is no commands, there is no requirements of religion, as if you love to speak to God, you love to remember your God, you love to be grateful, thank God, because you are enjoying it. You feel within your own nature, you have to be thankful, grateful, you have to be happy with your Creator, you have to respond back to Him. Like, for example, if a person smiles at you, is it a burden on you that you will smile at him or her back? Smiling, it's a happy life. You enjoy it. It is within your nature, within your primordial being, creation. It is just appropriate to your feelings. For example, when you don't take a shower for some time, don't you enjoy taking a shower? When you are hungry, don't you enjoy eating food? Although it looks like a burden on you, it takes time. But don't you enjoy it? For example, if you see a beautiful flower smelling nice, don't you enjoy going next to it and smelling it with your nose next to it and saying, oh, what a pleasant smell it is? Don't you enjoy it? When there is something very dirty, ugly, nasty smelling, don't you enjoy to run away from it? That is what's so natural to us, to communicate with our Creator. But if I am told, without being introduced to God, if I am not put in connection with my Creator in the right way that my nature never, ever contradicts, which is Quran describes the religion of Tawheed, Islam, or God, religion of God, as the religion of nature. They call it natural religion, but they hijacked this language and used something else without Sharia. It means natural religion means I can do whatever I want. That's my religion. But it is the terminology used in the Quran. God's religion is completely compatible with your nature. If something is not compatible, which is presented to you, which is not compatible to your nature, definitely this presentation is wrong. Make sure it is wrong. Why? It is not compatible with my nature, not spoiled expectations and ambitions. We should be careful. Is it my ambition or is it the reality, the truth? I have to question it. I must be ready, like the Queen of Sheba, to accept the truth as soon as I see God, who is who is merciful, who is compassionate. Oh, yeah, I need a point of worship who is merciful, who is compassionate. Yeah, that is correct. And this letter is sent to me on behalf of this God, to introduce this God. That is why she said, I received a letter, a Kareem letter, noble letter. This is essential to notice. Inshallah, for all of us. So Suleiman helps her to understand that this is so smooth with glass, with crystal glass. What does it mean? Nothing is secret in it. Nothing is not known. You can know, you can recognize it is really true. How can you recognize Queen of Sheba didn't receive any message, but she can recognize the truth with her nature? What does it mean? All of us can acknowledge, recognize the truth. It is not alien to us. We don't really need to change our inner self. We just have to keep our the way we are created. If we keep our creation unspoiled, not destroyed, distorted, then we can easily understand. We can easily understand when the message is presented to us. If nowadays people find that the message, God's religion, the message of God's religion, in this case, the message of the Quran, is presented to people, and these people hesitated to accept it, definitely there is a possibility that we are not presenting the religion to people correctly. If someone obstinately rejects it, there is a big possibility that he or she has bias against the truth, because some reason, for egoistic reason, they don't want to accept it. But this is their business. This is their responsibility. It is not my responsibility. I have to present Islam within myself, the teachings of the Quran within myself, in such a way that it must be so easy for the people to understand that this is really the truth. This is really a bottomless glass. The palace, it means the Quran is a palace, for example. So, and it is smooth and there is nothing in it secret. It means the palace is really transparent. Everything is clear. Nothing is secret. Nothing that I don't know, only the religious people know it, or only certain people know it. But I don't know the truth, but only certain religious authorities know it. No, 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 no. You can know it, but I'm not educated. Okay, you can acknowledge, you can recognize the truth. That is, the truth is appropriate to your nature, unspoiled nature. If you like, unlearn nature. But if you learn something, not in a distorted way, but to discover the deeper meaning, it makes it easy. But how can you go into the deeper meaning of the message of the Prophet? You have to go through the deeper meaning of the message you get by studying, concentrating, reflecting on it, maybe asking those people who know better than you and me, and benefiting from their knowledge, but getting into the transparent palace of the prophetic message. Transparent palace of the prophetic message. That is important. It is always transparent. The only thing is, the presenters of the religion of God should not stain it with their ambitions, with their anger, with their negative attitude, with their conditioned ideas that these people are unbelievers, they are kafirun. It is a very famous vocabulary used by certain people. So we have to revenge them. Look at the Sulaiman, what is he doing? How can we revenge them? Is he revenging here or making it easy for her, explaining that this is a transparent message? Everything will be clear to you as long as you are ready to receive the reality, to receive the truth. So we should not, we should be careful if someone, for example, holds a huge power. It doesn't mean necessarily that this person is power-hungry people, hungry person. No, it must be given this opportunity, have a good intention, and say, just go and speak to this person in a way that appropriate to human nature. Yeah. At the end, what happens? What happens? She said, when she understood that, Suleiman's power comes from his transparency of his message, clearness of his message. So Suleiman's power comes from there. At the end, of course, the Quran represents the end result of the Queen of Sheba's journey into the truth. She said, my Lord, indeed, I have wronged myself. Oh, it is interesting. Why does she complain that she had wronged herself? Because she didn't search for it. She didn't question her culture. She didn't question the tradition, the customary way of living in their life, in their society. She felt guilty. Why did I take all these trash ideas, worshiping sun or whatever? It means worshiping the causes, thinking that causes are benefiting us. Why did I take it until now for granted that they are doing something? They don't. They just slaves of the order, will of the Creator. Order is the will of the Creator. They don't do anything. They cannot do anything to me. Why didn't I think about it? How stupid I was. I understand from this. Say that I have wronged myself. Okay. Since it is here that I realize it is a transparent, everything is clear to me. It means through my human nature now, I can see the truth directly with no twisted interpretations or any other means. Okay, before going to the last piece of the verse, Sarah wrote something, I will read it out. I appreciate and feel relief upon hearing she witnessed the power of clarity of the message. Yeah, thank you. You put it very well. You know, my language is not enough to express the beauty of the message, unfortunately, but clarity of the message is the source of power. not Suleiman's army as we imagine, as we are told in, this Israeliyat and some commentators on the Quran narrate this Israeliyat to me, all trash, powerful army, and he was challenging everyone, and his palace was huge. No. He didn't have a palace. I don't think the prophet, it is appropriate for a prophet to have a palace. You must be joking. If a person is fond of a palace, he cannot be a prophet. Carrier of the messenger of the message of God, he must be completely, annihilated himself before God's power, knowledge, message at the end. He must be. So like the Prophet Muhammad, we see in his life stories narrated in really through eyewitnesses, narrations, didn't have anything. But he was the king of the universe, representing the glorifications of the universe to its creator. He was comprehending all the qualities manifested in the universe and returning back to their real owner, God. This is your qualities manifested here, returning back. That is, we are expected to do. So clarity of the message is the source of power of the prophets. So it must be our power. We may think that, we have to have a big institutions and a lot of material facilities, financial power in order to spread the message. We are starting from the wrong beginning. Our starting point is wrong. We have to have a very powerful message, clear, transparent, obvious to the people. How we have to expose ourselves to the message. Inshallah. It is an invitation for me as well. Sarah writes, yes, it's an invitation for all of us. Come to the transparent palace of the messengers. Actually, those were the exact words that came through you. Sorry, it was a comment or a thank you, Jazakumullah, but this is what we are learning from the Quran and the serious commentators of the Quran. So she blamed herself not being wrong. The truth is so obvious. Why? I wasn't aware of it. Of course, this is related to our reality. How? Are we questioning the cultural heritage we receive from our parents, our family, our society, the values of this society? I'm not saying they are completely wrong. They may be, they may not be. Have you questioned it? Now, Queen of Sheba is sorry now. Why I wasted my time without thinking deeply? Critically thinking deeply. And then, of course, her conclusion was, Sarah wrote some more. Clarity of the message was the power of the messenger, and it must be our power as well. This resonates. Now, alhamdulillah, thank you very much for sharing your feelings, understandings. I'm very happy. Maybe your comments, further comments, explanations, if needed, questions, because this subject, this prophetic narrations in the Quran, I found it that commonly by the general public, due to some historians becoming commentators on the Quran, historians, because they are good people, they have a good intention. I'm very thankful that they brought lots of materials to our attention to learn, to look at them, to take into consideration, and some of them are very useful, but they confused with rabbinic Jewish scholars in commentaries on Torah, which is everything turned into story, not the message, real message. So the Quran doesn't tell the story, but they love telling the stories because they are related to the same subject. But the way the story is constructed contradicts the ultimate target of the message of the Quran. It becomes that I'm not really going to go into details, and horrible, completely contradictory to the nature of the messengership interpretations. Sometimes frightening. How dare you say this? There is no sign in the Quran. How do you do that? But you know how happened? What happened to Sheba, Queen of Sheba? And then she came. She was frightened with the awesome army of Suleiman. It means it is not God's message. It is a despotic imposition of one's egoistic desires on other people. It is nothing to do with God's message. Okay, now come to the last bit. And Queen of Sheba said, I submit with Solomon to God, Lord of the world. Look, every single word is full of meaning. I submit. Why? It is appropriate to my nature. And with Suleiman, alongside with the message of the Prophet Suleiman. Because the message of the Prophet Suleiman was so transparent that I went through it very easily. It means it just appropriate the fit to my nature. Exactly. You know, for example, not ready-made clothes, but let's say tailor-made clothes. Everything is adjusted to your body. It is adjusted, and then when you wear it, it just fits it completely. So God's message is a tailored message to human nature. When you don't spoil yourself, don't corrupt yourself, when you really encounter with the message, you just find that it is perfectly fitting to your nature. So you assume it. You took it and put it on yourself. That is why she said, okay, I am wearing it now, this message. I submit myself. But that is why I cannot really understand how this rabbinic, which is called the Israeliyat, was somehow accepted by some people. He doesn't say, I submit myself to Suleiman. Never. But equal with the Suleiman, equal with the prophet, I submit with Sulaiman. It is very, وَأَسْلَمْتُ مَعَ سُلَيْمَانَ لِي Allah Rabbil Alameen. It is so clear. No way to miss the point. So I submit with Sulaiman, alongside with Sulaiman, together with Sulaiman. It is ma'a means just next to me, together, supporting each other. So nothing to do submitting to Sulaiman's power, but together with Sulaiman, taking the journey to acknowledgement of God in their lives. So we have to accompany the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad in our age. If we were in the age of Sulaiman, we were supposed to or expected to go into the journey of realization, learning, appropriating, and adopting the message of the prophethood, God's message, into our life. Now we are in the age of the Prophet Muhammad. If we were in the age of Jesus, we would go along with him. And since we are in the age of Muhammad, now we go along with the message of the Prophet Muhammad, and together with learn from him, and together with don't worship Muhammad, together with Muhammad, submit yourself to God. So powerful, every message is, every word is, I submit with Sulaiman. Excellent, together with, actually. The word is ma'a is a stronger word. Together with, next to each other, supporting each other. Ma'a, in original letter of the Quran, ma'a, or the word of the Quran, ma'a. Sulaiman, submit to what? To God. Who is God now? Lord of the worlds. It is amazing the way it is described here. God, the Lord of the worlds. The Quran uses it. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Praise be to God. Who is this God? Rabbul Alameen. It means, it's the same thing. وَأَسْلَمْتُ مَعَ سُلَيْمَانَ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. The same word. We keep using Rabbul Alameen in our prayers every day. What do we mean? The Lord of the universe. What does it mean? Now, the Lord of the universe means the one I worship. Only the one who has created my life here. Then immediately I have to recall, who can create my life now? Who can create my hand? Who can create my ability to speak, my tongue, my lip, etc., everything, my feelings, my memory, my intellect? Who can create it? Only the one who can create the whole universe can be the creator. So I submit, we submit, together with Queen of Sheba, we submit only the one to, only the one who can hold the, create the, control the whole universe under his absolute power, knowledge, etc., under himself. I can only submit myself to him. If something cannot be the creator of the whole universe, I cannot submit myself to that thing. I cannot present my grace to that thing, my thanks to that thing. For example, can I submit myself to the state? Okay, if the state can control the universe, yes. If not, nothing. So when I say, for example, I benefited from something. A typical example is food. I ate this food now. There is an orange here I ate, or the tangerine, I ate it. Okay. I loved it. What do I say? Alhamdu lillahi rabbil alamin. Why? In order to create this orange, one has to be able to create the whole universe, keep under his control. One has to. Only the one who is the owner of the whole universe, I can thank, I can worship, I can submit myself to. That is the structure of the main teaching of the Quran. Here, this structure just is presented to us. And Queen of Sheba realized that Suleiman wasn't calling, inviting to his material power, but inviting to the power of his message. And this message gains its power from the Creator, the Lord of the whole universe. How can you submit? How can you not submit to him? It is so much appropriate to human nature that we can only submit ourselves to the owner of the whole universe. I cannot submit myself to the owner of the sun, for example, only, or the moon only, whatever they call it. Whatever the name they say, nature, natural laws, etc., all of them are within the universe, created, existed within the universe, all of them need to be created by the one who created the universe. That's why we need to complete our, comprehension of our belief. For example, if I am benefiting from anything I'm seeing, and butterfly, beautiful, I love it. Oh God, you created this. I should immediately say that, immediately go into the reflection that, look, only the one who can create the universe can be the creator of this butterfly. This relationship, this integration of everything into one unit, which is the universe, is the essence of the teachings of God's message, which is made absolutely clear in the Quranic message, emphasized on it. That is why really I am satisfied with the teachings of the Quran, because teachings of the Quran doesn't limit my point of worship with anything. Said only the absolute one. What does it mean? The one, the creator, owner of everything. Here, the Queen of Sheba represented the how a human being must come to the end and submit himself to this conclusion. So we have more, inshallah. The death of the Prophet Solomon is described in the Quran in a very, very significantly figurative teachings, symbolic teachings. Oh God, beautiful, beautiful. So inshallah, the death of the Prophet Solomon, we will study as it is described in the Quran. In the Quran, we will go into the details of this descriptions, as well as the following of the nature of the people of Sheba. We have, I think, one more class. We have to hold one more class, but inshallah, to complete the story of the Prophet Sulaiman in the Quran. But this verse today we studied, which is amazing. It is incredible. Every single word, even a letter in it, full of deep meaning. But alhamdulillah, we got something. I was satisfied with it, and I was excited to share it with you. Okay, do you have anything to share with us now here? Comments, questions, I don't know, rejections? Alhamdulillah. If not,
it's interesting. One more. It's interesting how the verse ends with, "Indeed, I have wronged myself." That's an interesting phrase also, like acknowledging my past mistakes.
Yeah. Of course. If
come to the near realization.
Excellent point. If she did not acknowledge her previous mistakes and repent for it, she wouldn't be able to submit herself to God, the Lord of the universe. No, that's a good point. That is why we should not insist on our mistakes and try to defend ourselves, which we do. I do. If something happens to me and somebody says something to me that I'm criticized or something, I immediately tend to defend myself and look for an excuse. I was right. But if it is wrong, confess it. That is what human reality requires. Confess it, inshallah. That's a good point, Asim. Look, excellent, mashallah. Any more? All right. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين